Okay, so we're starting. I have my picture placed off to the right. I did a printout of it so I could see it a little better. If you guys want to use your computer, you can. And then I'm using my whole paper, but I still want you guys to do tape right around the very edge so you'll have a clean border. I am using my vine charcoal, which are the square ones, or sorry, my compressed charcoal, which are the square ones. I have my vine charcoal. I actually have two kneaded erasers, and I kind of stretched them out so they were clean to start with. I have one of the shading tools, and then this is something a little different. I got like 2 or 3 of these compressed charcoals, put them in a plastic bag, took them outside with a rock, crushed them, and so now I have this really fine charcoal that I can kind of work with, just for if I want to fill a bigger area, and I'll show you in a minute what I'm going to do with that. So what I'm going to start to do, and remember, this is kind of, we want these to be a little abstract. You know, we're going to kind of follow the image, but, you know, kind of have some fun with it, because this is kind of about energy and texture. So I'm just going to kind of map out my little landscape. So, you know, I'm going to put the ground down. Then my tree line, probably kind of goes, you don't have to be real perfect at first. And remember, things don't have to match your drawing exactly. I can't really see mine. Okay. The drawing doesn't have to be perfect. You can kind of play around with it. It's just kind of there as a guide. So I'm going to kind of skip the middle because that's where my clouds are going to be. Gonna put my little peak right there, and there's my other peak. So I'm gonna leave these areas where the clouds, where the really white clouds are, I'm gonna leave those blank because I don't really want anything in them, so I don't have to erase out the white parts. So I'm gonna kind of go back down to this bottom, and I know there's a couple of different layers in the ground. There's a dark layer, then a lighter layer, then the little, you know, the little cows are along there. Then I have my grass. So that's what I'm going to do. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to map out really lightly, get some light colors in, and go from there. So I'm going to keep all the white areas that I want to be really white. So I'm just going to kind of leave some white areas in here where my white clouds are going to be. I'm just going to take, I'm just going to kind of do this in definite layers. So I don't get going too fast. And remember, you can kind of go kind of decently dark with the vine charcoal to kind of get your areas, because it wipes off pretty good. But I am leaving the areas where the white clouds are going to be as they go down into this area. I'm going to leave that area white. Let's see, I'm going to make this a little white. And I'm not worried about being too exact for right now, because I can go back in and put that stuff in a little later. So I'm just kind of mapping out where my sky is right now. And you don't have to have the clouds be exactly like in your picture. The idea is we're just kind of experimenting with some texture and stuff like that. So stuff isn't exact, it's okay. So then I'm going to go back a little later on, and I'm going to use my eraser, my kneaded eraser, and kind of do some different effects. Make these a little bigger. And see, this is an assignment where you don't have to worry about things being, you know, super exact. Now I'm just kind of going in different directions with my cloth, just so you can kind of get rid of some of the direction lines. You don't have to really hurry with this. This should Should kind of be in layers. And everybody, I tried to make sure all the photos had kind of a good sky, because the sky is kind of fun and where you can kind of do some different techniques on. And it doesn't have to be exact, so I try to make sure every picture had, you know, a good sky to work with. So everybody could kind of do some clouds, because they're kind of fun. Kind of the different patterns that you see. Now I'm kind of doing little wispy things, and I'm not pushing as hard because I'm trying to kind of keep a few of those so it kind of starts to define some of my clouds. Then I can kind of go back and dab over some areas. And I don't have to worry about my mountains too much. I do want to kind of keep them white as much as I can, because then I'm not going to want to have to go back and erase those white areas. So be careful kind of at your white areas, because my mountains, you can follow along with the picture on your as I'm doing this, but you can see the mountains kind of have some white snow caps. And so that's why I'm trying to keep the mountains right now as white as I can. So I can kind of go back into them, you know, a little bit later. I'm going to have to erase everything. So this is something that should be kind of fun. I mean, some of you may have a hard time because you want it to be super realistic. Some of you might really like kind of the abstract, but I kind of wanted to do this one just because abstraction is always just something that's kind of fun and can kind of be enjoyable and different than what we're always used to, doing everything exact. You know, because that's what a lot of people think drawing is everything has to be exact, which is not the case. Some really nice abstract drawings. You know, as you can see kind of on the examples I have on our page, there's some really nice examples. But as you can see, I'm just going pretty slow. And just building up to things. And I try to get stuff with good atmospheric perspective, which we're talking about in class. And as you look further, if you go out and look at the mountains, as they get further away, they're more blurry. They're not as visible, which of course is what happens with everything. But just because of the gases in our atmosphere, it really blurs stuff. And it kind of makes stuff a tint lighter. And then as it gets closer, it not only has more definition, but the colors become a lot more vivid. So same with this picture I'm working on, this foreground that's really close to us. I'm going to make real detailed with some good texture. I'm going to kind of make the tree line textured. And then I can worry about the background being a little more soft. And now I'm going to kind of, with my vine charcoal, I'm not just going like at the very beginning how I kind of did stuff all in one direction. I'm kind of being kind of a little more free with it. And I think it's definitely easier, as we talked about, when you're holding the vine charcoal, to kind of hold it on the far outside instead of really close and really tight. Remember, it's always good to, use the stuff that's kind of already on your cloth to kind of put down more color without actually having to use the actual charcoal again. But I know some of these areas, like up in the corner, are a little darker, and I kind of want the edge to be darker. And clouds are really organic, so, you know, things don't have to be perfect. And I'm gonna go check the video real quick and make sure that it's videoing correctly since I'm not a video person.